Alrighty, what is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another weekly update. Hope everybody is having a lovely weekend. And with that being said, let's dive into the TA. All right, guys, we're going to kick it off here with the indices, go over the Magnificent 7 stocks, and then I have a few trade ideas at the end of the video just for you. I got a few hot ones going into next week, so stay tuned. All right, let's get going. All right, guys, so SPY, we had a not so bad close. I'm just going to, give you guys, my bias going into the coming week is going to be further upside. If we see a dip, I do think it's going to be short-lived. I do think it'll be bought. I'm going to go over in this video what's, leading me to that conclusion there. All right, but I have some pretty compelling evidence here. Most of the components of the market here are suggesting we are going to be seeing higher prices here in the short term. So we're going to go over that. All right, we'll go over, the possible downside risk, but, I'm just going to make it very clear at the beginning of the video. Everything's kind of suggesting we are probably going to be continuing further up. All right, so there's that. Over here in SPY, guys, we didn't get the worst close in the world on the week. QQ looks a bit hairy. We could see over here on the Doji candlestick, but we did just have this range breakout. We could see over here in SPY. All right, we had our correction. We got right back up near highs coming into the week, and then boom, we broke those highs this week and continued higher. Not the worst weekly close over here. Like I said, I do think we're going to continue pushing over here. I don't think things look all that bad. But on the downside, we have 642.34, 639.85, 637.58, 634.66, 631.22, and we'll leave it at that. I don't think we're coming down further than that this week. But, hey, if we do, 626.28. On the upside, 646.09, 648, 650, 655. That's what we have on the upside for this week. I will remind everybody, guys, we talked about it not yesterday. We talked about it in last weekly update, last weekend. And guess what? The weekly RSI is not overbought. At some point, that is going to get overbought. And then... yeah, that condition's going to be met. But on all of these rallies here, we get overbought. That's what these all-time high breakouts usually bring to the table. Vast majority of the time, and guess what? We are not up there. Okay, so if you want to be a bear here, just realize you're being a bear for short-term pullbacks, and that's all you're going to get over the coming weeks and months. That's pretty much it. Maybe there is a larger correction on the table, but we're gonna see it coming. Because that first week is going to tell us. It's not something that... It's not going to come out of nowhere is what I'm getting at, okay? When price wants to keep climbing, price is going to keep climbing. We just got a decent correction out of the way there, and we are probably going to be continuing higher, at least for this week. Maybe we get a correction next week. All right, starting next week, and we get something like that. All right, reversion back to the mean, and maybe we do get that larger sell, okay? But we're going to see it coming. I'm going to point out in this video, guys, the Magnificent 7 stocks, they do suggest the stock market is probably just going to keep climbing here. And DIA, guys, is setting up in a bullish manner right underneath all-time highs. This is a multi-week, range of consolidation here. Bull flag right above a key level, 433.20 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What is that? Yeah, 6 weeks going on. 7 weeks of consolidation in this range here. It's about to blow. All right, you got IWM. I know. You got slammed down over here Thursday into Friday. But guess what? It really didn't look all that bad. And you did close above a key level, 226.14, that you were rejecting over here. 2 weeks right there. All right. Things aren't looking all that bad. VIX over here, guys, it did start perking up. I'm going to point that out. It did start perking up here. It's kind of holding, the low of this, right over here. We made slight new lows over here, and you're just holding this new low that we've made. But, until you get over 1628, just make that our blue level here to pay attention to. Until you get over 1628, I wouldn't be looking for a larger VIX spike to happen, or we're going to wait till the 4-hour RSI gets down into oversold territory. Regardless, I don't think we're getting a larger VIX spike. And if we are, all right, we're going to know about it because we're breaking above 1628. And if we're not, above 1628, then we're just not going to look for it. So what? We miss some of it. It's fine. Okay, it's fine. There's that. It's perfectly fine. All right. But yeah, we went over the levels over there in SPY. We're going to go over QQQ here. Like I said, did not get the best we could close here. You had a doji candlestick, but I do think we're probably just going to continue higher. I do think Nvidia is about to be exploding higher here, having a 5 to 10% move to the upside over the next few weeks, maybe this week. Yeah, I think the market is going to be going higher with that. So there's that. And Google, I think, goes to all-time highs. And Amazon, I think, goes to all-time highs. And Apple, I think, is going to consolidate and then get bought up. You know, all these things. Meta, I think, is also heading back up to all-time highs this week. You know, if these are happening, the market's going higher. And if the market's not going higher, then I guess I'm going to be wrong on these things. It is what it is, but that's how they're setting up to me. So I'm going to point out that in this video. On the upside, QQQ, break above Friday's high at 579.84. We're talking 581.88, 583.32, 585. 588 and 590. 585, guys, keep in mind that is the target here. I am actually, while we're on the Nasdaq, well, let's go over downside levels, okay? But, you know, I'm going to show you something on NQ in a sec here. On the downside, we have 576.80, 574.63, 571.57, 567.76. You lose that level, bigger sell. That's the daily 21. We just lost the daily 21. We lose it again. That wouldn't be the best thing. That's a sign of weakness right there. And, you know, at that point, best case scenario, we're in this choppy market that's probably going to be range bound for a while, just like this crap right over here with these violent choppy moves. There's that. Okay. But NQ over here, guys, we didn't get even a 1% move to the upside after taking out the 21 EMA over here on the daily time frame and then moving back up the highs over the past. Over here, it's not showing the time for some reason. Yeah, either way, 600 days over there, just about. All right, guys, that is not 2 years, but it's like 1.6 years right there, 1.7 years. And guess what? Okay, guess what? These are the 9 times that you took out the 21 EMA and then went back up and took out that swing high to make a new high. All right, and guess what? 9 out of 9 times you had at least a 1% move, and 5 out of 9 times you had at least a 1.3% move, and 3 out of 9 times you had at least a 2.5% move. There's only one time over here where you didn't make at least a 1% move right away and then pull back before continuing higher. And guess what? It was the biggest move we had. It's a 5% move. I am not saying Nasdaq is about to have a 5% move to the upside here over the coming week. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is over here, you popped up to new highs, you pulled back for 2 days, you consolidated. This would be Monday session. You kind of give it some consolidation, and then boom, we start taking off on Tuesday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, okay? So, you know, that would be like us having a 3% week this week, okay? We'll see how it goes, but I'm just pointing out this is what's happened for just about 2 years now, okay? Every time you took out a 21 EMA and then took out that swing high over here, and this is the only time where you did not have at least a 1% move. You had a 0.65% move, pulled back, and then you had the later move later on. Right now, you want to look at how we're set up right now, okay? And this is not the same thing as NQ over there. NQ's high was somewhere up here. We didn't hit it. Like I just showed you right over there, 0.94%. All right, so we're not talking QQ. We're talking NQ over there. That's where that stat's derived from. All right, regardless, you had this move. We're pulling back into a previous all-time high here. Break and retest action maybe to start off the week. Regardless, maybe we don't hit it. This is where buyers would be stepping in. It's not something to be bearish on. If you are continuously getting bearish, I told you, we're going to know about it ahead of time. Just like before this correction, guys, I was pounding the table on this time period right here because we just had so many puts slamming the tape for like 2 to 3 weeks at that point, and then we started seeing VIX over there give us some warning signs. Yeah, it's time to, you know, proceed with caution. But then we got out the way, and then boom, we got proved. I think it was on this day right here when we took out that high. I know it's ever so slight, but what happened the next day? You kept trekking higher, okay? And you just kept trekking higher ever since then. You know, I don't know why people are so bearish right now. I really don't. But, you know, I will tell you right now, these people are going to keep getting it wrong. You don't have a reason to get it wrong. All right, we'll be there. Okay, we'll be there when, you know, the market wants to correct, okay? But I'll tell you when it's happening. It's not happening right now. This is literally just a pullback into a previous breakout level right here after we barely have moved after having a big correction. I think, yeah, further upside is on the table here. We have a pattern here, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are we about to get the 6 2-candle combo here of going red, green, red, green, red, green, red, green, red, green, red, green? Are we about to get it? Probably. So Monday, be on the lookout for a green candlestick. If we gap down, okay, maybe they do bring us. If that is going to hold right here, this is going to be the 6th 2-candle setup right here, all right, of red green. Then we're going to get a green candle, which either means we gap down and then close above that gap down price, above that opening price, or all right, well, either way, you're opening somewhere and then you're, closing higher than where you open. That's what's going to create the green candle, okay? So if you see the gap down, expect them to buy it. If you see a gap up, expect them to, if you see a gap up, you see a pullback, expect them to buy that pullback back through the current high of day, back through that opening price there, and then close it above the opening price. So then we have a green daily candlestick. That's how you approach this, okay? And it's not always going to be perfect, guys, but technical analysis, just like this, little bitty things like this, okay? They make our life a little bit easier when trading the stock market, okay? All right, here on this channel, I give you everything you really need to have a good time in the market. I hope you guys killed it last week. I hope you guys killed it the week before. It's been a hot market, okay? I know it was a bit, over here, but yeah, either way, it's been a hot market right now, and I do think things are going to continue. I'm going to point out we have a lot of setups to talk about in this video to watch for next week, okay? All right, so those are the indices here. Like I pointed out, DIA is looking like this, guys. It is probably going to be breaking up, okay? We come over here. This is the range over here in the 4-hour. It is overbought right now. Who says we don't pull back a bit, consolidate a bit more, and then go like that? Okay, so maybe Monday we don't get a breakout, but yet, this thing is queuing up for a big move. I don't know exactly how it's going to unfold here. Maybe it goes vertical like that. But yeah, I do assume we are about to break out from this range here. We're going to break all-time highs, 451.55, get above there. We're talking upside. You see a daily close above there. Expect we're going to have a decent amount more of upside. We're going to target 460 here. 460, 470 incoming. That's DIA. And then IWM, guys, really doesn't look all that bad. Just hitting it with the break and retest 2 days in a row here, Thursday and Friday, off at 226.14. That's where buyers are clearly stepping in. We very well can still push up from this. You're right above the 4-hour 21 EMA. You're coiled up. You very easily can push up through this. Again, I don't know why people are bearish. There's not really reason to do so. I'm not a permabull, but I will trade what is in front of me, and I will try and do my best to help you guys trade what's in front of you. All right. Even if you have a bias, I will do my best in these videos to show you that you don't need to have that bias. I will just show you what the probabilities suggest. And right now, yeah, we definitely have some upside to talk about. Okay, so those are the indices there. We're gonna go over the Mag 7 stocks, starting off here with Amazon. Amazon had a nice close to the week, guys. I am anticipating this will break above 236.53 in the short term and run to 242.52. Above there, we're talking 245 and then 250 plus. That is Amazon. It's looking really juicy, and this is what I was saying, guys. Spoiler alert right here. 5 out of 7 Mag 7 stocks look like they are going to continue pushing in the short term, and some of them might have these explosive moves. So that's why I do think we have that shot at seeing that 3 to 5% move up from here on the NASDAQ, okay, out of this consolidation we got going on, okay? But that's Amazon. It did end up gapping up and then pulling back intraday on Friday. But I do think we're probably just building out a range, a couple daily candlesticks here before pushing higher. But yeah, don't be surprised if you see this kind of action, okay, this week going on, and then we, by end of week, take out 236.53 and probably all in one go push 242.52. At that point, I do think we probably get at least 245, but probably 250 before pulling back. So this is definitely one I'm going to be focused on over here. And I do think some of these Mag 7 stocks, guys, like, this is where the money's at right now. I'm going to show you some setups too. I think there's some clean ones right now. So very, very clean ones that are just standing out that we can focus on for next week. Okay. I'll share those right after these. Meta. All right. This is another one, guys, we're paying attention to for that all-time high breakout. People are mad when you got this breakout over here and I called for further upside 800 to 820 in the short term. I just am going to give another spoiler alert, guys. If you're going to try trading the stock market, if you're going to be an active market participant, you're going to be trading with real money, guys. Don't act like a child. Don't have these unrealistic expectations. The market does not go straight up. It is never, there's not me, there's not you, there's nobody here on YouTube, especially, all right, YouTube or anyone, okay? There's like anyone, Twitter. There's just no place you're going to go on social media where nobody's going to actually just have this crystal ball and tell you exact price action. That's not how price action works. Okay, you trade what you are giving as a trader, and if you are going to be a pussy and really just start blaming others because you decide to all in some weeklies there, and it didn't go straight up the next day to $800, even though I had a big breakout the day before, and then you're gonna come back and you're gonna again just be a pussy. The market is not the place for you, and you should not be risking your real money. Okay, you just should not be doing so. You're clearly not ready to do so, and if that is you, just realize, okay, this is not anything against you, but you should for yourself take a step back and not be in the market until you can get that under control. Because the first lesson in the market, let's look at it this way, is it's not that guy's fault, it's my fucking fault. All right, it's my fucking fault. If it's not your fucking fault, how the heck are you going to ever improve? How do you improve? Who gives a shit if it's that guy's fault? Okay, and I'm still going to say, I put a banging setup over here on your radar. This thing's going to go, okay? It's going right now. Regardless, it's going right now. But it's going to get this move. But, I'm trying to get at patience and responsibility. Accountability, not responsibility, accountability. All right? It is my fault. It is my fucking fault. If you are in the market and you are a trader, okay, and you do not have this attitude, you are going nowhere year after year after year after year. You're never going anywhere in the market, I promise. Why? Because you will not improve if you are sitting there being a bitch blaming everybody else. Okay, so that's all I have to say. I'm not saying that to be rude to anyone. I'm just telling you guys that it is a harsh zero-sum game here in the market. And if you are going to not treat it, as such, you are not going to get any type of rewards, and you're just over time you're not going to learn. All right, like I know for a fact there were just a few nasty comments after this meta thing over here, when in reality the video I gave you guys, you had some bangers come out of that video. Okay, you had some really big boy movers come out of that the following day that we talked about in that video. Guys, it's the nature of the game over here. At least on my part, I'll give you guys all the setups. I watch everything in the market. If there's something moving in the market, I'm going to be paying attention to it. If it's setting up in, within my system, I'm definitely going to be paying attention to and trying to trade it. Okay. But that doesn't mean everything's going to work out like that. It's just not how that goes, okay? Please do not be doing any stupid, dumb shit like, betting your farm on weeklies or shorter dated contracts, and then boom, there's that. Because, even if it was a shorter dated contracts and you just, sized up to an amount where you're just uncomfortable with losing that money, you can't lose that money, all right? Guess what? You had a little pullback. You can't stomach it, buddy. You can't stomach it if you position yourself like that. And the thing goes right back up to highs and you're even more pissed. So don't do it. Don't do the stupid thing to begin with. All right, just thought I'd mention that. I think it's a little golden tidbit that I think everybody could take to the bank. And I hope it helps. I hope everything we talk about in these videos, I hope it helps. Okay? But yeah, meta guys, we're looking for further upside. I think the 4 hours nice and coiled up here against the 21 EMA. I do think this is probably going to be getting further upside to start off the week. But yeah, this weekly candle, guys, we have this 2-week high here. We started breaking out from that. We got a weekly close right above that this week. But I'm pointing out the daily time frame just with all this consolidation here. Daily RSI still has not gotten overbought. That's typically what we see on all of these moves up, is it does get into overbought territory. And I do think it's just really coiled up before we get a decent sized move like that. And clearly it's not happening right now. So once this starts going, expect a few days of straight upside. Dips are going to be bought. That's meta. Nvidia, guys, now I think this is what's going to bring the market higher. Yes, they just pointed out Amazon meta. I think they're going to just continue trekking up to new all-time highs there. But Nvidia over here, guys, weekly RSI, it hit a spot where it hit. If you just go back, I shared this with the Discord it was literally last weekend when I was updating all the charts in the Discord, all the Mag 7 stocks. And when the weekly RSI hits where it did last week, guys, if we see price not make a new high over the next 4 weeks, we know that is starting a 4 to 8 week consolidation period. We know it's likely starting a 4 to 8 week consolidation period that will then break up. And we could play that breakout for a massive move. That's what's happened in the past. But I'm just going to tell you, once it hit the weekly RSI, once the weekly RSI hit that spot, okay, that it hit last week, I marked it out right here so you guys could just see it for yourself. Once we hit that spot, you did end up continuing higher every single one of those times, okay? Every single one of those times. It was not a top, all right? You either consolidated for those 4 to 8 weeks, like I was saying, and the way we know that, all right, is going to be something like, there was only, I think, 2 times that happened. Yeah, it was literally right over here, maybe. Yeah, you still went up, you know, look at that. Okay, so, you know, it was right here. But even in the short term, you still had that 8% move from the weekly close where the weekly RSI got above where we did last week, okay? So there was that. I'm just pointing out, there's definitely not a top in right now in Nvidia, and people are probably going to treat it as such. But if we do, okay, right over here, you barely got to move. But then guess what? On this week right here, second week in from where the weekly RSI hit that spot, you end up having the weekly high, the previous weekly high there not being taken out. So you knew you were in that 4 to 8 week consolidation period. You pulled back in a controlled manner to the 21 EMA, and boom, if you knew this, if you had this in mind, what we're talking about right now, you knew not to be bearish on it. You need to look at it as a big trade opportunity for the, you know, the next time it gets that breakout. So we're going to be paying attention to it. Right over here is another example over here. Okay, yes, you had the immediate short-term move, but then guess what? Right over here, again, that second week, you did not make a new high over the last week's high, which meant you knew you were in that consolidation period. And now you're just waiting over the next 4 to 8 weeks, waiting for that breakout to come. And once that breakout comes, you know, boom, you're going to have another banging move coming over here, another 10% move. All right. So we're getting that same exact opportunity now that has set up sometimes over the past 6 years. This is going all the way back till 2019. All right. And the vast majority of the time, you just do continue climbing higher in the short term. So I'm just letting you guys know we have one of those 2 scenarios happening. And I think we're gonna just continue climbing in the short term, and I'm gonna point out why right now. We're really coiled up over here on the daily time frame. We now have about 2 weeks of consolidation. On the weekly chart, we could see you had this upper wick, you pushed the high of it. That usually means we want to continue going. That's just typically what happens from that. Once you take out these large upper wicks like that, boom, you just kept going. All right, over here, I think we had one too. Boom, you just kept going. All right, there's not too many examples, but you can see what I'm saying. It just kind of tells you that that's, yeah, okay, buyers are in control. When we see that happen, buyers are in control. They want to continue pushing you higher. Well, guess what? We failed to make new highs. Well, we did make new highs, but we swept the highs. All right, we failed to break out, we can say, okay? That's what happened this week. We failed to break out. I do think the breakout is literally right around the corner. All you have to do is send an alert for 148.48. Not 148.48, 184.48, and then you will know when this thing is breaking out to the upside. But I do think we have that nice 5 to 10% move to the upside right around the corner. And I think 190 is definitely getting hit in the short term once we break 184.48. But I do think 200. I think this beast is just gonna have one of these moves within 2 weeks where boom, you just climb up to $200. So yeah. I'm watching for it. And this is why, you know, I can't be bearish in the market. You can't be bearish in the market. You can, but, you know, I think it's not the best choice right now. And I really think, I'm trying to point out in this video, there's no reason for that. No, I don't have a strict bias. I'm reading these charts off of, no, this is just how the charts are set up, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. All right, and Nvidia is consolidating in a bullish manner here for, you know, 2 weeks above the daily 21 EMA. Yeah, it's still in an uptrend. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no arguing with it. Okay, you know, 4 hour, I'm not going to say this, you know, it could be rolling over, but let's be real about it. That's how the weekly and daily charts are set up. It's probably going to, you know, break to the upside. And, you know, even if it doesn't, who cares? Okay, you don't have to be taking a position right now. I'm just telling you, watch for the breakout here. That's what creates this next big move. So watch for it. Google, just like Amazon, just like Meta, just like Nvidia, I think we're going to continue making these new all-time highs. But yeah, this is just like Amazon, where we haven't made those new all-time highs yet. And I do think it's coming here in the short term. Probably going to be coming this week. Again, you know, this is another thing suggested. Yeah, why are we looking for downside? We shouldn't be looking for downside. The market has all of its major components here. Suggest we probably are going to continue pushing. But yeah, Google over here, guys, on the upside, we have 205.43, 207.33, and then 208.70. Above 208.70, we're talking 210 to 210 to 215. That is the target range we're talking. That's where I want to be selling and taking profits. But, you know, I'll just tell you, just wait for it to break up. You know, just wait for the break above 205.43 here. That looks like where price is just compressing up against here. You're up against the 4-hour 21 EMA. All right, price is just getting tight. It's probably getting ready for one of these, you know, next big pushes here. And I think that push brings you straight up to 210. Okay, so that's Goog. Apple. All right, guys. Apple is and again, technical analysis isn't perfect, guys, but I do think it's just honestly a beautiful thing. You can track along with price action, and sometimes you just get these little stats here that you could just look back and see what happened back in time. And oftentimes, guys, a stock will have a personality. That's how I like seeing it, and it's going to behave in a very similar manner. I know it's not, you know, history isn't going to repeat itself, but it often does like to rhyme. And yeah, you know, this is one of those cases here where I do think it's going to be rhyming. It makes sense with how we're set up. I do think we're going to stay in consolidation here. If we do just push up and the daily RSI doesn't take out 70, if it doesn't get back underneath the overbought line there right at 70, then, you know, this throw what I'm saying right here out the window. But at the same time, we are looking for more upside. Either way, no matter what, we're looking for further upside. I just think this is going to be how it goes, and I plan on taking advantage of it if we get this little correction here. Because it clears that by the dip opportunity with what I'm going to show you right here, okay? So this is quite a bit of time it's been going like this, but, you know, over the 70 line over here on the daily RSI, you cross underneath it. Guess what? All the times it's showing you, all these times I'm showing you right here, they just mark periods of consolidation before, within 1 to 2 weeks, you then take out the highs and then you continue for another big boy move. All right. This is really the smallest big boy, quote unquote, big boy move I could point out. And that's 2% past the high. So I'm pointing out by the dip opportunity into the 21 EMA here, we're talking 225.62. That is where I like it off of. That's where I'm personally going to be paying attention to and probably will be opening that up. But I like it between 220 and 225. That's your buy range, we're going to call it. But we're looking for some sort of consolidation here. I'm not saying it's going to be picture perfect like that. But what I am saying is once you go back up, all right, once you do end up going back up, just look for that at least 2% move to fall over the next 1 to 2 weeks, okay? And that would really be all the way up here to 240, guys. So if you get the chance to buy 220, 225, like, you know, you ain't got to bet the farm on these things, and you shouldn't be betting the farm on these things, okay? But, you know, you see these deals coming along. You see the probabilities I'm pointing out here, okay? You now have the confidence. I know you're not going to have my confidence because you're not the same person, you know, looking and reading these charts and putting the ideas together. But I do try and just show you guys as much as possible. Instead of just tell you guys what's going to be happening, I try and show you why I think certain things are going to be the way they are. And what I'm showing you right now is, you know, we can look for that at least 2% move. Once this breaks out over here, 2% move, you know, to structure an option trade, I like the 1017, the 919, the 1017 calls because they fit within the stat. You see this pullback here, you know, it's probably not going to be taking out the 21 EMA. We know just off the weekly time frame, we just start breaking out. We know these dips are going to be buying opportunities over the next few weeks, no matter how they form. Even if we get 2 weeks of consolidation, we're still looking in that way. But if it is that 2 weeks of consolidation, we don't want to get messed up by it if we're trading options on it, okay? But you pull back over here, you see that early on this week, 919 has a whole 30 days on it. We know what comes after that pullback. We know it's very likely not going to spend too much time over here around the 21 EMA and at least start getting, you know, a bounce probably back towards the top of the range. So guess what? Okay, you buy some down here, you take off half up here. Maybe it doesn't break out, but, you know, again, within 1 to 2 weeks, we are looking for that move. You got 4 weeks on the contracts. Guess what? You play the 230 strike. You see the move up to 240 because that's 2% above that high. Okay, you took off half right over here, maybe even added back some over here on the dip over here because you're still in consolidation, and then boom, you get the chance to sell 240. Let's say you get to pick them up for $300 a contract, 919, 230. I'm not looking at the premiums right now, but, you know, I'm guessing they're going to be going for 300-400 a con. All right, and then guess what? All right, if you can get them, I'm talking, you know, if you can get them down here, that's what I think they'll be going for, 919. I think $300 to $400 if you could scoop them up around 225. All right, and then let's say they come back up and now they're $500-600. But let's just talk about this. You catch the move to 240, they now have intrinsic value of $1,000 a contract on. You have a minimum of 150% gain on them, and there you go. You're a happy camper. Okay, you want to play it a little bit safe. We were talking the 1017 expiration, and you don't really care about all this consolidation because you now have over 2 months of time on there. All right, I'm just pointing out this is how I see it setting up, and I think this is a perfect opportunity that's going to be setting up for a lot of us here. And now you have, what you need here, the information you need to take advantage of it. So I hope it helps, guys. And that is Apple. But definitely what I'm watching into next week. For that pullback, I'm personally going to be buying the dip just exactly in the manner I just described. And that's the exact trade plan right there. Okay. But yeah, over here on Tesla, guys, it is still in consolidation. We did take out this low right over here, and I told you guys I'm personally not getting faked out. I'm doing my best not to get faked out by this. I want to take advantage of it, but I don't want to get faked out because I made money off that. All right, lost some somewhere over here in this mess, and then I made some off that, and then boom, you started this choppy mess for weeks on end, and I definitely got faked out at least 2 times in it, and I ain't getting faked out again. I'm waiting to catch this big boy move that's right around the corner. I'm telling you, it's right around the corner, but it's not happening just yet. You're still in that consolidation. We could see this over here on the monthly. The thing wants to take out this high 367.71. We just don't know when it's going to be doing, guys. So it's our job as a trader, just be patient. Okay, patience will pay. Okay, just wait for it to start really moving. We don't have to get faked out. So what? You missed the start of the move. So what? Even if you miss this whole move and you start getting involved at 367.71, you get a chance to buy this consolidation that's happened. Okay, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. At least now price is making a directional move. All right, you don't have this risk of the fake out moves happen right here. Like, I guess the risk is still there, but you know what I'm talking about. It's the chart showing you that it's ready to move. Okay, once it starts going, big boy move. So what? You missed 10%. The move is 30%. Who cares? Who cares? The actual move is going to go something like this, and you get a big boy move. Patience, guys. I have setups at the very end of the video. Right after we're going to go over Microsoft next, I'm going to start going over those, and you guys will know the things that immediately, in the short term, these are set up to move. But these are the ones I'm pointing out. We're going to keep on our radar over the coming weeks. All right, and that's how I, am planning on playing it. I'm already in Goog. I'm already in Meta. But I'm telling you, I might be playing that Nvidia breakout right there that comes this week. I'm definitely going to be loading up on Apple calls and again, it's 919 or 1017. I haven't made my decision there yet. But I think both are going to be valid, and it's clear as day. One is just, slightly higher risk, higher reward, and one is more time, less risk. There's that. So take your choice, take your pick. But Tesla over here, this is setting up to, maybe it starts moving this week, but honestly, till it gets above this high right here at this point, 348.98, this week's high, like, I don't care about it. I don't think you should either. All right, just wait for it to tell you it wants to start moving again. Okay, Tesla, Microsoft, guys, this is the other one I just wouldn't be touching right now. I don't think there's any reason to. You are consolidating right up against the 21 EMA, but this is not a weekly chart that looks all that sound to me. Maybe it does push up, but we're probably just in these, topping periods right here. So I wouldn't be touching Microsoft. If it does break underneath 518.29, that's when it is probably getting a larger sell going. Those are the Mag 7 stocks, guys. Now I have some trade ideas for us. Some of these are looking like they're going to be making their moves in the short term. The first one I'm going to bring up is it was the focus of last week. I hope you guys made some money, some nice coin off of Netflix there. Okay, so we'll just bring this one up, guys. 1,300. That is the target for this week, guys. The last 6 times, the price ended up printing a green candlestick off of the weekly 21 EMA. We have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4, we have 5, we have 6. The last 6 times that happened, guess what? Over the next 2 weeks from that low, okay, you had a 13% move. 13% move off that low brings us right up here almost at $1,300. Okay, so that is the target here for this week. I do think once we get there, I think we go straight through it and go to 1340. So I hope you guys are strapped in and enjoying the ride so far. But But yeah, dips are buying opportunities over here. We have this 4-day range. We flipped the daily cloud right over here. We have not really gone anywhere. So just realize, yes, it's up from when we put it on your radar. But guess what? It really hasn't had that impulsive week yet. I think that's about to come this week. And I think we might be getting up to all-time highs, guys. So definitely keep it on the radar. This is, my personal money printer over the coming weeks. We have now had, I think, 4 to 5 100 to 200% gainers here on Netflix. Now we're going to say 3 to 4 over the last 2 weeks here. And I'm just saying, I think everything is about to rip freaking faces over here. And I really do think those 919, 1300 I shared, they were a 7x idea, 4 to 7x idea, I believe, at the time I shared. If we can get up to $1,300 or $1,340, and I do think they're actually going to be getting these moves, guys. I think we're seeing some big moves out of Netflix in the short term. So keep it on the freaking radar, okay? I'm going to get the stocks we already talked about the way. All right, but I also am looking at them for trades as well. DIA, guys, I do think we're going to be going up to 460 plus, 460, 470 in the short term once we break above 450, 155. Okay, so that's DIA. Nvidia over here, I just talked about the game plan on Nvidia. That's how I'm going to be approaching this. I'm waiting for that breakout, and I'm targeting 190 and then 195, 200. But yeah, first things first, 190, and then I do think 200 is going to trade, but it's going to take like probably 1 to 2 weeks for that move actually happen once the breakout happens. So keep in mind there. But yeah, now for the setups, guys, that right now they're screaming our names. Okay, they're set up to move, and we think they're going to be making big boy moves this week. Bull. All right, we bull. BULL. Tight consolidation against the 21 EMA here for just about 2 weeks here on the daily time frame. You have an equal highs up the ass over here around 1614, guys. Above 1614, this thing is probably going 1722, and then more importantly 1885. I think we can see 20 plus in the short term, and I think we might get a 20 to 30% move starting up this week. Keep it on your radar over here. This thing's looking immaculate. This is honestly going to be my top watch for the week over here. As far as the speculative names go for a big move. That is Bull, BULL. Affirm, AFRM, guys, setting up tightly over here on the daily time frame. It's just compressing. It looks like it wants to break out above 79.69 this week, and I think we get a move straight up to 83.57. That is this high rate over there. You know what? We are changing that level here. We're just going to mark out this previous swing high we got going on right there at 82.53, guys. So above 79.69, we're going to target 82.53, and we have 85 and then 90. I think we are probably about to start a 10 to 20% move in the short term over here on Affirm. Definitely something you could take advantage of. A 5 to 10 point move over the next 1 to 2 weeks on is right here on Affirm. We do have earnings. Okay, those are on Thursday, the August 28th there, end of month. We still do have 2 weeks here where you can play those before earnings there, okay? And, you are going to have to play weeklies. I'm sorry, that is how that's going to go. If you are, trading this with me, you're either playing weeklies or you're paying the earnings, premium there, but they're going to be pricing a 20% move because some of these earnings do have this crazy 20% move, okay? So just realize that is what they're going to price in, and premiums, even if you catch a 10% move, it's not going to move as much as you'd think, okay? So keep that in mind, but definitely want to keep on your radar going into this week because of, all the compression we're seeing here. SoFi, earnings are out the way, guys. SoFi is looking like it wants to head back up to highs here above 25.11. We don't really have anything until 28.26. We can mark these out, but you could see that is right there at 25.11, right at that high. So if we take that out, guys, right here at these equal highs, we made this equal high as well. We take that out, we're going to all-time highs. I think we're about to catch this move in the short term here. But yeah, another one that I'm going to say is top watch this week. This thing is showing us, the market wants to, behave a little irrationally here in the short term. Guess what? SoFi is kind of just looking really constructive. You built out this base. You're now pushing up above said base. Okay, this is the top of it. All right, break and retest 2 days in a row, Thursday and Friday. And, I'm going to say if this thing can take out 24.50, I think we take out 25.11. And this thing is probably going 26.27 in the short term, but more specifically 28.26 is incoming. I do think we have another vertical move on the horizon, and a lot of these vertical moves, they have massive moves that fall here. And especially when you have all this consolidation build now, that's when you get larger moves over there. That's 3 weeks. You went 25%, you know, just imagine. Okay. Just imagine. It would be some crazy shit. But yeah, SoFi, definitely possible to take out 25.11 this week and continue pushing and make the push towards all-time highs at 28.26. MCD, guys, also top watch this week. I know. I just said top watch, what, 4 times? We have Netflix, we have Bull, we have SoFi, and now MCD. What are you talking about, Henry? I told you, we have some hot setups that are ready to move right here, right now, in the short term. Name of the game over here on MCD, guys. Try and buy it underneath 310.40, okay? This is something that I think it has a chance of just continuing consolidating in between 305 and 310 this week and then getting the breakout. And I think that breakout brings us straight up to 317.90. All right, so that's going to be a target. I'll just make it this gray level, guys. If you ever see gray levels on my charts, those are going to be the targets. The red levels are just your support and resistance. And then these blue levels, those are trigger levels for said trade ideas, said, directional movement right there. This is clearly, equal high here at 310.40. Over here, you pull back, test the 21 EMA. It's getting real tight. Weekly, all right, weekly cloud just flipped bullish, not last week, but the week before that. This thing is very likely about to start an impulsive move. I don't really care how it's going to shape up here. We just passed earnings, guys. We can go as far out as the October 10/17 monthly OPEX there in terms of options and not pay juice premiums, okay? But I do think a quick 5 to 10 point move here is on the table as soon as this week, but I'm talking this is a 1 to 2 week setup here that I don't know if it's going to be breaking out this week and having the whole move this week, but I do think 1 to 2 weeks it will complete. This is one to keep on your radar. MCD, I put it on your radar down here. I put it on your radar somewhere over here for this breakout move. And, I'm telling you right now, it's about to have that next leg up, and I'm putting it back on your radar, okay? I have full intention of nailing this name over here, but I'm telling you, it's tricky-ass price actions. You got to wait for these things to set up for you. And right now, this is one of those things where it's just kind of clear as day to us. So, MCD, top watch for next week. APP. All right, I'm not going to say another top watch, but it is another one that I do think is going to be continuing up and probably making new highs past 470, 370. I think it's probably coming next week, okay? The fact that we did get buyers stepping in on Friday here in such a clean manner, they printed the hammer candlestick right off of 428.99 where you broke out from. I do think we are probably going to be just continuing to push here in the short term. Above 449, we're talking 473.70. 487.99, and then all-time highs at 525.15, guys. Put it on your radar. We nailed this one, okay? We nailed this. We've now had 200 to 200% gainers off. We're about to pull on the third in like, a 2.5, 3 week period here. Real talk. This thing, we absolutely nailed the move over here. And now this is just a pullback reversion to the mean. I think it might stay consolidating, but just realize these dips are going to be bought now that it started with that directional move. We got the big weekly breakout there above 428.99 here in the weekly time frame. All we did last week, break and retest off it. Either we continue consolidating here for the 21 EMA to catch up the price before pushing up, and that would take probably only 1 to 2 sessions here, and then by later on in the week we'd be pushing in, which honestly that sets up a good Lotto Friday idea, or at least just a cheap weeklies idea into the end of week. All right, to pull out a couple 100% gainers on that. But either way, just expect these dips to be bought. This is the dip, expect it to be bought. Expect this thing to break out in the short term, and on that breakout we probably get another 10 to 20 points of continuation, if not new all-time highs above 525.15. All right, so that's APP. Another one of these speculative names that I don't think it's going to break out in the short term here. I'm just going to full transparency there. That's not why I'm putting it on your radar. I think we're probably going through one of these periods where we might put in another 1 to 2 weeks. It might do some, stuff. Let's look at it like this. APLD, this is another one you could pay attention to. I think a big move is just about to happen here, but we don't know if it's going to take another week of consolidation or so. So just keep that in mind. But I think it is something right there. Looks exactly like this, and we're just right here. So maybe we do consolidate for another week, 2 weeks there on but I do think that weekly chart is definitely something we should pay attention to. It looks ready to explode. Monthly chart looks crazy like it wants to explode. I think we should really be paying attention to you right now. And this is a big swing trade opportunity here for us. And, you know, I'm talking, if you're willing to just give it time, you know, you can genuinely buy October calls, let this thing play out. And I do think you're going to pull a couple 100% out of this. Okay. And again, guys, I really do hope you guys are having a good time in the market. I do my absolute best here to give you guys everything you need to make money in the markets consistently week after week. If you want to come trade with me, I'm live every single day trading all of these things, and I have full intention of helping everybody in my group succeed, as well as just nailing these things we're talking about here. Okay. But you know, that link is down below. Other than that, I really do put a lot of effort into these YouTube videos and just trying to help everybody have a good time in the market. So I just ask that you guys like the video so we can push it out to more people. The YouTube algorithm has not picked this up, and I'm honestly very surprised, but I'm also kind of not surprised because our niche is really specific over here. Yes, I think it's probably, you know, I think my videos are the most valuable ones in the, you know, this whole space. Honestly, I do. I think there's not, this is what people will pay, you know, $1,000 a month for. This is what people will pay big bucks for, and I give it for absolutely free on this YouTube channel. And I think it's just too complicated for, you know, to hit the YouTube algorithm. That's what I've come to terms with. And you know, but either way, please help me try and hit the YouTube algorithm with a like. That's all I ask. I really do appreciate it. I love you guys. I genuinely would appreciate that. Moving on though. So now we're going to get into these things, guys. That was the end of like the setups there that I think are ready to go in the short term. / you over here, I think this is a multi-week setup. I think we could consolidate here, and the goal is either to buy in that consolidation or just wait for the breakout above 38.96 after the said consolidation. Then we play this move. But I think 50 plus could be incoming over here. So big move is possible. And I think we're going to catch it. But yeah, so these are the trade ideas that I don't know if they're going to be moving right now. They could consolidate a bit more, but yeah, I like them. Hood. All right. Hood, I think, is probably going to go back up to highs above 117.70 and push 120. But more specifically, 125. That is my target over here. I personally got out of Hood on Friday just because I was uncertain if we're going to stay consolidating here for the next, you know, week or so. I'm not sure because we printed a red weekly candlestick. We can see, yeah, most of these, you know, are followed with the green weekly candlesticks, you know, when you're trending like that. But we don't know if you're just going to stay in consolidation. So that's something to keep in mind. But I do think this thing is set up to rip in the short term here. And I like the 919 120C. All right, they're currently going for around 500, 600 bucks. But 125C, yeah, you catch them from here. You catch a 10-point move. It's 100% gain. So that's Hood. All right, we're going to come over. Next one I like over here is Uber. All right. I think this is about to be having a big boy move here above 93.60. I think we could push 97.72 real quick and then push 100 plus. But Uber, tight consolidation here against the weekly 21 and another break and retest. Okay, just like you had the break and retest off of that previous all-time high, you have it. You stair-stepped your way up. You really didn't move after all that consolidation, which tells me I think we have a massive move loading over here on Uber, and I have full expectations of taking advantage of that. Okay, so that's Uber. Next one we're talking TEM. Guys, it's getting ready for a really big breakout above 77. I gave you guys this one when it was in this consolidation over here, and then guess what? We did break above 2 days later after I gave it, or yeah, 2 days later, I gave it in the weekly update, and then on Tuesday we ended up breaking out here. It looks like above 65.82. It was off to the freaking races. We went 70 plus right away. That same exact next day there, we pushed up to 71.97. And now it's, you know, it's doing what I was talking about. Like, don't FOMO on this ticker, guys. Don't try and FOMO into highs. Wait for it to have its pullbacks. This thing is choppy as hell. Yes, it has these trending moves sometimes, but like I'm telling you, this is going to be rare. I've traded this name a few times in this mess, and yeah, you get these really choppy, you know, moves here where, boom, you know, big gap down. Somehow you have a big day. You have a 7% day, and you started the day with a 7-8% gap down. Like, expect this crappy action here on this name, which means you don't have to FOMO. Daily RSI is overbought here. Honestly, I'm just going to say, wait for the correction to pop up here. If we start ranging out, we still are right here at the top of this. we might still just work through supply sitting up here, right? 77, that's the big level of break here. And that's where I think the real big opportunity is going to lie here. If we get that, multi-week consolidation in this area, maybe even if it's just a week, but yeah, I'm going to be paying attention to something like that. And that's how I intend on trading it. Regardless, I hope some of you guys made some money on the initial breakout above 65.82 there. It's now at 73.68, 73.78. All right. Next one, APLD, guys. I do think breakout is imminent. I do think it's coming next 1 to 2 weeks. We're going to say, I don't know if it's going to come this week, but I do think it's setting up for us over here very nicely on the daily time frame. And I'm watching for the break above 1542. That is what starts the fire, but it does have a really clean look over here. All right, next one is RKT, guys. RKT, I do think is setting up in a bullish, consolidation manner over here on consolidating a bullish manner over here on the 4-hour, right into the 4-hour 21 EMA, right into 1845 where it just broke out from. All right, you tested in pre-market over here in 1979. You did not break through it. Usually when that happens, like I was saying, those equal highs, even if you pull back, that pullback is likely to be bought and then you get a breakout. I do think we're probably going to see a breakout this week. So that is RKT, guys, above 1979. We're talking 2138, 23, and then 25. All right, that is RKT. All right, and then this is I got a few here that I'm just watching for them to turn around. I have a lot more on this list, but I'm not going to clutter your watch list with things that I'm just watching for possible trends to pop up here. But Carvana, I'm just going to point out, it is looking like it's it has this range over here on the 4-hour above 351.43. It might just pop up to 364 pretty quick this week. That's a move I'm going to be watching for. And then you got Rocket Lab over here. This is something that's setting up in this bull flag. All right, it's really not looking all that bad. This is very likely just going to be bought up in the end. But I do think it's setting up in this very clean bull flag looking setup here. And if we can start breaking to the upside out off of this trend line here, I do think this is going 53.44 quick, and then 55, and then 60. That is Rocket Lab. All right, and the last one I'm gonna show you guys here is SMR. All right, daily RSI, guys. I'm not gonna tell you you're gonna find buyers right here, but I am gonna tell you watch 32.30. This thing was just at 53.50. I do think we're gonna get a really big bounce over here when it starts up, and I am going to be here for it. Okay. It's coming into where it had the big breakout from previous all-time highs. All right, which was 32.30. Daily RSI is now coming back into a spot where we could see, at least, for a while now, all right, over the past year or so, year and a half, actually technically we're in August right now, so year here, every time the daily RSI gets around where it is right now, this is where you start bouncing back from. So I'm going to start watching for price to bounce back and / base out. I want to see a base, then I want to play a base breakout. And I think we might catch a move, maybe not back up the highs, but I think we could still get a 20 to 30% move going over here in SMR. Move from 32 all the way back up to, even just 40 is a almost 25% move. That can pay. Okay, so that's the move I'm watching for. You're pulling right back into the weekly 21 EMA. So it's really cool to see the daily RSIs coming into that exact spot where it normally bounces back from, right as prices coming into the weekly 21 EMA. So that is aligning. We're probably going to be basing out around here, but you could see on these moves, you still had those 20% plus moves in that consolidation. So I'm going to be looking for that, and you guys could be looking for that too. I'll point out when there's an actual base that we can go off of here, but for now, just expect that buyers are going to be stepping around here, and we're going to put it on our radar here. Okay. All right, guys, and that's what I have for you guys today. There's still some stocks I'm looking for continuation on over here. TSM, Walmart is returning to a really big level here. I'm just going to say, I don't know what's going to happen here to be honest. You could have, further consolidation, then just make the next move off of earnings there. I still think it's going to be to the upside, but that is a big give back. Okay. So, I'm just going to say, if you take out the weekly low, the previous week's low there at 98.20, then, this is clip. We probably are getting a larger sell going on over here at Walmart, and we're not going to be visiting all-time highs yet. It's been a bit of a troll for quite some time. You had this one initial big move up, but other than that, you've been consolidating for a while. You just returned back to the scene of crime, breaking retest off 99.5. Expect buyers here, but, I'm just going to tell you, we don't normally have these big weeks followed by a complete give back the next week. Over here is scenario where we did, but then you consolidate for the next 3 to 4 weeks before then starting to move. And it was a slow move. All right. We've been in consolidation for so long. I imagine it's not going to be the case. Imagine we're not just going to consolidate here. But I'm just going to say, don't be, I think there's much better stocks to focus on than Walmart right now. Okay. I know we've been talking about it, but you had the initial breakout move. Hopefully some of you guys caught that. Right now, I think maybe the move is just to wait till after earnings, honestly. So that's Walmart. But yeah, that's what I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Again, all I ask is that you leave a like on the video. It would mean a lot to me. And again, if you want to come trade with me, I am live every single day until 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Trading everything we're talking about here, okay? As well as, just I'm on live. All right, guys, I will catch you all in the next one. I hope you guys kill it this week. Again, I'm just going to go over the top watches for the week just so everybody knows right here, all in one consolidated place here, what to be paying attention to. Netflix, we're looking for a move up to $1,300, guys. That is a 60-point move from current price. You can make a lot of money on that move. All right, Bull. We're thinking 20-30% move is probably about to start up this week. We have tight consolidation, and we are looking like we're just about to break out from that consolidation in the short term. So be on the lookout for a 10 to 20% move over here. Can really pay in terms of options as well as commons. 10 to 20% real quick. Affirm. All right, this one you're gonna have to be forced to play weeklies on unless you want to pay for that earnings premium. But getting real tight over there. Top watch, SoFi, looking for the breakout above 25.11 this week, and we're talking 26.27 the short term. But yeah, buy it in consolidation or buy it on the breakout. It's up to you. I do think we are probably going to be pushing back up the highs this week. MCD, all right, equal high at 310.40, guys. It looks like we're about to break out from this. Either it consolidates and then breaks out, or it's just going to break out start of the week. Regardless, above 310.40, we're talking 317.90 comes real quick. APP, break and retest off 428.99. Dips of buying opportunities over here. We're looking for new highs over 473.70 this week. That is a 40-point move. That could pay. You, setting up over here. I'm hoping it consolidates over the coming weeks. I don't think it's going to be moving just yet. If it does want to break 38.96 and start the fire, that's fine. If that happens, we are anticipating either you're going to get this consolidation going on here for 1 to 2 weeks and then push up with the big move, or we are just going to start a multi-day big move here for 2-3 sessions where they're just all, decent, near 10% days. Regardless, we're paying attention to it. All right. And that's those are the top watches coming into the week, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace.